Mother-Daughter-Duo-Podcast. This is another episode of the Mother-Daughter Duo Podcast. I am Danielle Perkins, and to my right is my beautiful mother and co-host,
Jean Perkins.
Also, at the very bottom of the screen, the scroll text, we are sponsored by M5, Mommy Monday Morning Motivation Meetup. And before we introduce today's guest, of course, I want to talk about our week and then also talk about hashtag SFT. So, the mommy moment. Did you have a mommy moment over the week, this past week, that you want to highlight today?
I can't think of any. I should have been.
One.
I can't think of any now.
This is the new norm.
Yeah, the only thing I can always think of is my grandson. He's not mine, he's yours, but I just adore him. I just love him, and
you do, because
watching him grow, I just can't believe he's here. And then I just
every day, mind you, I live with her. Now we live together, and every day she's just like, Danielle, I just can't believe it.
Yeah,
and just staring at him like the whole time. I'm like, you are a creep.
Yeah. Well, Well, you told me about what he did yesterday.
Okay, we'll say that.
Well, so yesterday you called me when I was at work, and I thought that was when you told me what he did. So he walks into daycare, which had been, we had been trying to get him used to daycare, and the more he goes, the better he's kind of been getting at it. And so Danielle called me to tell me yesterday when he walked in, and he stood at the top of the landing when he walked in, and he said, "Good morning." With his hands, using his hands, and he's just not like that. So that was nice. And then she said, then when he got to the bottom of the stairs, he said, "High five." So I was like, oh my God, you should have got a video of that. But sometimes those are those unexpected moments, and she didn't expect that, but I wish I could have got that on camera.
Yeah, like you said, just the fact that kind of getting him to go has been kind of like a hassle, getting him acclimated and adjusted to this new environment. And then for us to walk in and his presence, he commanded presence, so much presence that day. And I thought that was really, adorable. So since you stole my mommy moment,
oh, I'm sorry.
I'll just say that, it was my birthday the last time that, we've been in front of the camera. I've turned 36, and for my 36th birthday, I did a really big event that you guys will at some point see. My family was a part of that. We did a really cool photo shoot. I don't think we have any photos together at all. Well, not at all.
Yes, we do.
I can count on one hand how many we probably have that live on the internet. We don't have any physical photos or photographs. So to have the three of us, because it is three in our family here in the state of Washington.
4 now with Pierre.
I was going to add, and then now to have the fourth, and then one in the belly, a bun in the oven, was really, really cool. That's my mommy moment. Okay, so hashtag SFT, shirt for today.
Oh, okay. You come up with this stuff, and
it's so funny because I've told you that this is the new normal.
Hashtag SFT.
Yes, shirt for today.
Okay.
So your shirt says, "Because I got 2 kids and one stream of income won't do." And mind you, this is from off of my head. This is what I came up with, but you're sporting it for me today.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But do you have any, comments about what the shirt says and might mean to you?
Because you have 2 kids, one stream of income won't do.
Because you have
That's self-explanatory. I have 2 grown adults now.
You still call us kids.
And I can kind of understand where you're coming from when you said you have 2 kids and one stream of income won't do. So you have to have, for some people, multiple streams of income. So I understand that. I remember the time when I was working, working up in Seattle, would get all the way back home and then go work at Dollar Tree when I was living in University Place. And I think I was in my maybe late 40s, early 50s when they did that. So I understand I can't do that now. I want to make some extra income, but the reality is my body is just not set up that way no more.
Well, the reality is you don't have to do any laborious work for your second job. You can do stuff like this. This is what we're doing that doesn't require a lot of labor.
True. I just ain't seen the streams of income yet.
Yes, that is very accurate because we haven't put this out to the public.
Yes, I hope when we put this out to the public, it will bring another stream of income.
Well, you already said that this is mine and not yours. So,
right, but when the income comes,
I tried to tell
you get blessed with your, what did I tell you?
No, I don't know.
What did I tell you? I said when the income starts coming in, what's a few dollars?
I don't know. I told you to put it in contract. You didn't want to do that.
No, you did not. I told you if you make about $6,000 a month, I want $1,000. That's what I told you. So we're going to see how much the money come in.
Simple.
15.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Is that before or after I start paying rent?
We'll do a contract.
Yes, because I got 2 kids and 1 stream of income that won't do is exactly as you stated.
Mm-hmm.
For me, pushing pregnancy, I have a very petite 7-month pregnant belly right now. Probably can't be seen on camera, but pushing pregnancy, right now there's this new fad, pushing P. I guess it generated in the South. If you know the hip-hop artists or the rap artists, Gunna and Young Thug, this is something that they're talking a lot about these days.
Pregnancy?
Pushing P. They're not talking a lot right now because they're incarcerated. I hope that situation works out for you. But pushing pregnancy is me recoining pushing P. I guess pushing P is like pushing playa, pushing...
Okay, don't say it. Okay.
That's what it means. Okay. I'm looking at your facial expressions. You try to be cool as it is already. So
okay.
Thought you would gravitate towards this.
Pushing pregnancy, yeah. I thought
pushing P, pushing play. There's nothing else more to it. Oh. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Pushing pregnancy is me recoining pushing P, pushing playa. Because I am trying to leverage this pregnancy to propel me into doing more, because one income will no longer do, especially in today's climate. With that being said, I also want to talk about the question for today. So, pregnancy brain, mother may I? Mm-hmm. Mother may I? So, this question actually comes from an app, because I have the Baby Center app on my phone, and there is a comment section where mothers and mothers-to-be can ask their questions. And so the question is, and before I give the question, I would like to introduce the guest of today. This is the person, the young man, who said that our jingle is whack.
Can I hear me? Yes, I did say that.
So this is Bruce, my brother, my younger sibling. This is the young man that we've been talking about on the previous episodes. This is your son. How do you feel about his presence here on today's show?
I feel okay.
Okay. So the reason why I want to bring you in is because maybe you can also chime in. Maybe you have some input on the question for today. But Mother, may I?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I have had an on and off relationship for 8 years. We have 2 children, ages 6 and 3. We are on and off because we don't get along. He is selfish. We argue constantly. Every time we break up, I have one guy that I get back with. We are happy together. I guess that's the guy that she gets back with that she's happy with now. But I always feel pulled to get back with my kid's dad. I feel it's better for them to have their parents together. But I always miss the other guy, and I feel we are actually meant to be together. he gets sick of the back and forth and says, I need to leave my kid's dad once and for all so we can be together. But it's tough. What should I do? What say thee?
Well, I say, sometimes we can get caught up into being so selfish. So at this moment, right, they're not even thinking about the children as far as this she's not thinking about the children as far, well, the dad too, because he should be able to say, we have to stop this back and forth. So I can understand that you want to be with the father of your children, but if it's not working, then you need to be able to understand that it is possible to co-parent. If he wants to, that didn't happen for me, I can say, but there was not a lot of animosity either. So and neither one of them lived here in Washington when I was raising my children. So I think that they can do it. It's possible to co-parent and she go on to be in a healthy relationship with the other person.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a sense of what the question is asking, and did you have anything you would like to add?
I mean, I
think you have experience going back and forth between.
I have experience going back and forth, and I have experience dating someone who was a single mom. Well, besides me, but a single mom. And I don't think going back and forth or going to the guy that you want to be with when times get hard, and then ditching him to go back to the baby daddy. That's not really cool, because it's confusing on his end, and now he's going to be waiting for you for the next time that it messes up, and waiting for you to come back. For that little sense of enjoyment. Then once you go back to the baby daddy, now he's gonna feel crushed, and it's not cool. So I would just say, if it's not working out, leave the baby daddy, because clearly it's not working. You're going back and forth, and it's gonna be confusing for the kids too. So
Agree.
And depending on the kids' age, I could really mess with them. So I would just say leave the baby daddy, because clearly it's not working.
And I think that sometimes, especially as women, we kind of use the excuse that I want to stick around for the sake of my kids.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the bigger picture, there's not anything that you're necessarily doing that's helping the betterment of your kids by, kind of going back and forth. If they can see the display of that, as you said, Bruce. It's sometimes the best decision is to leave a toxic situation,
right,
and not to continue to keep your children in that kind of mess. So I think that's all great advice.
Yeah, because you have to remember the children.
Great advice.
Okay, I had a little bit more to say, but it's called modeling. So when your children be in these relationships, when they get older and you're wondering why they keep doing what they're doing, that's because you already, that behavior, they learned that, they saw that, that's what you did. So you have to remember that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mother, may I?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So today's guest, my brother, Bruce, this is not necessarily impromptu, because I wanted to do an exclusive interview with you at a later time, but it just timing so happened that you were able to come today. So I told you about this yesterday, and now you're here. But I think that it's really important from your perspective, a guy's perspective. You talk about, being raised in a single mother household. It's very seldom that I get to hear about what the experience is like for a young man, but I know that, it had to be weigh on you in some ways. And the reason why I have come to learn that is because I think the reason why we got here is because I'm like, you know what, Bruce, maybe he's not answering the phone all the time, or maybe he goes off into his own world, because we could be overbearing. And I'm learning I'm learning that to be true, because when I brought it to you, you kind of agreed. Yeah. Additionally, when I told you about this podcast and you had a lot of great advice and opinions, you said that this might be really good for Mother and I in our relationship.
Yes.
And so I want to flesh out some of that on today's episode. So, the man of the house, I guess, is what I would title this episode.
Sure. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you were the man of the house being raised as the only boy?
I mean, my thoughts on that was there wasn't really anything that I could do to become a man of the house. It was just taking out the trash or doing the dishes like mom told me to do, cleaning the room, cleaning the bathroom, doing the chores, and that was about it. But I couldn't protect the house. I couldn't go out and work to provide income for the house. I couldn't do anything like that. So it was mainly just taking out the trash. And I don't know, just setting this expectation, maybe for like the long run for when I grew up and actually became a man to do something.
Do you think that mom labeled you man of the house? I don't know.
I just think I think it's a term that all households use when it's a single mother and if there's a boy in the house. It's like you're going to eventually become the man in the house, so set that expectation now, I guess, for when the time does come and you become an adult.
But you never felt that pressure.
No,
I don't even recall you doing a lot of taking out of the trash, by the way, cleaning the room. But that's another episode for another
Mom
day.
did really good on giving us chores and switching those out. We did, yes. Stop.
Okay. First question
That's
is...
why she said I did the dishes better than you, but go ahead. Yes, you did. Go ahead. Yes, you did.
Next question.
Right. Okay. Did you ever feel any void being raised as the only man in a home of two women? You kind of... Well, you spoke about more of the man of the house and what that looks like. But did you feel any void being that your fatherly figure was not present?
Yeah, I mean, and now that I'm an adult, now that me and my dad, we don't talk every single day or every single week, but now that we are establishing that communication, I can't say I'd lie if I didn't.
Cross your arms.
She's fine.
Yeah.
I can't lie and say I wouldn't, I didn't crave that or didn't want that. You know, I guess being the man of the house was like not showing emotions for certain things. So I tried to make it seem like I was okay without having it. But I think now as an adult, coming to terms and actually like letting that burden go, it's kind of like okay, be real with yourself. You would have loved to have a man in the house, which is why I always like loved being around Uncle Charles, because Uncle Charles kind of, and Uncle Derek sometimes, like they took me under their wing, but that's why I loved Uncle Charles as much as I did was...
Oh, I thought it was because he was always cashing you out.
No, it's because, I mean, he's, we've had conversations and he's kind of, you know, he's just been a real one. He's been a real one, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I've always looked up to him for that.
Having young men of his own, young boys of his own.
Right, yeah.
He's always known what to say, when to pull you close.
Yep, and how to do it, yeah.
And how to do it. Did you have anything you want to comment about what he just said or
No,
he shared?
these are his experiences, so no.
I know, but fleshing out the conversation, the ideas, like when you said you were intentional about not necessarily expressing emotion, I didn't realize that. Did you?
I mean, no, I didn't. I mean, I'm not unaware that I know that he would have benefited from having a man in the house.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not shocked to hear that he would have. I'm glad that he's verbalizing it. You know,
Right.
I would have known that's what he would have wanted. And that's what I would have hoped. And it didn't end up that way, you know. But for him to verbally come forward and say that, you know, that's growth on his part. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're just on a podcast. So I was just wondering if you wanted to
Girl.
expound on
Let mom take
ideas
it
and
in.
thoughts.
Let mom take it in.
Was there ever any pressure? Oh, I already asked that. What was the dynamic that you witnessed between your mother and your sister, and how did it influence you? Where do we start?
Yeah.
I will say that this is not anything bad to you, Mom, but I fundamentally just disagree with maybe 70% of things that Mom says.
I will say 100% of what mom says. And mom can't say nothing.
Anything. That's a double negative.
Mom can't say anything without you having a response. Sometimes, this is my personal opinion, sometimes I feel like even if you don't agree with something, you don't always have to have a response. You can just let that person say what they need to say, and then let the whole situation die down, and that be it. You have a hard time doing that. So then mom gets frustrated, and then mom will shut down and be like, because now she's like, my daughter ain't listening and don't care for what I'm saying, or doesn't want to see my point of view towards it. You don't gotta agree, but you gotta be like, there's a point there. But you don't, yours is just like, no, you're wrong. That's what I've seen growing up.
How did it influence you?
That's probably why I don't answer the phone with y'all sometimes. Or when we like go out to, when we're at home or at mom's house, it don't stop. It don't stop. So I be taking deep breaths like, oh my gosh, y'all are a lot. Y'all are a lot. And it's, sometimes it's hard. It's just hard. Because I would love for y'all to get along a little bit better than, because now I just feel like y'all just tolerate each other a little bit. For real, I just think y'all tolerate each other. But this is why I'm glad you guys are doing this, because maybe it'll help out a little bit. It'll work itself out.
So what are the things that you say fundamentally 70% of the stuff you don't agree with? So give me an example of one. Give me an example of one thing that I tried to teach you that you just did not agree with.
First of all, when we were growing up, I don't think you ever taught. You just said, don't do.
Okay, I can agree with that.
It wasn't like any conversation. It wasn't saying why we don't. Maybe the only thing I could recall right now is like when I was driving and my license were like suspended. He would say, if you go out at this time, this is what can happen. But before then, I don't recall a lot of conversation. It's just, do as I say, and this is why. And I don't know that you realize that, like, some of our experiences with different people and being in different households and having different authoritative figures, I just rebelled, like, at some point. Just didn't want to hear nothing else anyone had to say, number one. And two, I didn't have any outlets, I didn't feel like, at the time. And three, at 16 years old, I was already on my way out the door. So, I mean, I just don't feel like there wasn't a father present, and then my mom had to work all the time. So I feel like for a large part of my life, I was either taken care of by other people or by myself.
Okay.
Definitely rebelled. And I can, yeah.
So I just had my own, I was just doing what I wanted to do because I just felt like I could, or because I was rebelling, or because you didn't really give context about why I couldn't do anything. There wasn't any education behind it.
So now are you like rooted in that now? So now you can't feel
there
like
are times where I feel like, I feel so stupid because I just, why did I say something back? Like, I want to just be the type of person that doesn't have anything to add. I mean, just can just sit and marinate in what mom has to say. But at this age, yeah, I do feel kind of rooted in it.
And the only reason why I say that is because I've noticed with myself, if I continue to keep going, eventually I'm going to trip up and I'm going to say something that's just going to make the whole problem worse. So that I notice, like, hey, just let them say what they need to say. Be quiet, because you have nothing else to add to the conversation. You said your part. Let it go, because then they're going to take what you say. And I don't want to. There's a particular individual that I've recently broken up with. That's what would happen. I would say something, and they would take a part of that and just feed off of that. So then the whole point I was trying to make doesn't even get acknowledged anymore. So
but that is like silencing your voice to me, and I don't think that's fair, but I hear what you're saying.
Let's go ahead.
There goes me adding to
No, that was good. That was fine.
For the sake of time, we do need to move on, but
I don't have nothing.
How many other questions are there?
Okay. Mom always talks about the time where, like, as soon as you turn 18 or you graduated from high school.
GED.
Oh.
GED.
I forgot. Okay. See, we didn't even do conventional school. I think that.
Well, I tried, but I mean, I don't know. I had, what do they call that? ADHD. I don't know the difference between ADHD and ADD, but
The
I just
hyper.
couldn't. I just couldn't pay attention, and I don't think the teachers did enough to engage me because I need to be like, get me up out of my
Stimulated.
seat, have me up in front of the class, pointing at stuff or doing something like that. There was one teacher, like in the beginning of class, he would come up with the topic on the board, and he guys, how do you guys feel about this? And so the whole class would be able to share their thoughts on it, like, this is how I feel. And then somebody could be like, well, no,
Do you
I
think
feel
it's
this
because
way.
he was a male figure?
No, I just feel like that was a good way
It
to
was more
engage.
interactive.
Yeah, it was a really good way to have the whole class
To learn.
and be a part of something. So
Okay, so you, mom always makes the joke that you, you moved out so fast that all she could see, the last thing she saw was the hanger still moving.
I got out of school, went to my cousin's house, dropped my stuff off. They took me to go get my clothes. I got my clothes and went right back to the house. Same day that school was out. I was 18.
And so, is that because you felt suffocated? Is that because you wanted your own sense of freedom, being in the house with two women who are always bickering and nagging all the time?
I wanted my own
Or you
sense
just
of...
wanted to be in the presence of another male figure?
No, I mean, at that time, it was a lot of just, to be totally honest, a lot of smoking and drinking and hanging out. So it wasn't
That
about...
was appealing.
At that point in time, I had given up on seeking a male figure like that. It was just, we were just hanging out, smoking, drinking. I was around a lot of girls. So I really enjoyed that. And I wanted that freedom. And it was just, yeah, I was free. I was free.
But you wouldn't attribute that to necessarily being in a house with us.
I mean, I think
No, I don't think so. Let me answer for him. I think he wanted freedom to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And he felt like at the age of 18, because that's the legal age, I guess. And so he felt, and he always said that when I turn 18, when school is over, he turned 18 in February. He let the last day of school, it might have been June 12th, and he decided he wasn't going back to school.
Okay, so since you chimed in, why are you always calling him and harassing him when he was 18 and of age at Joe's house just because you didn't necessarily agree with his lifestyle?
Yeah, I did not agree where he was at and what he was doing. And so let's dial that back, because that's your assumption that I was always calling. I was not always calling him over there. I was
Not always.
No.
Not always. She wasn't. Not always.
There were
she would call
days
like
when-
on Sundays or something. She'd like call
Or
me
I come by and tell him to come outside so I could see him. But I did not bother him over there. Was it an environment I wanted him in there? No, I didn't. He was in there with some other adults, smoking, drinking. I didn't want that for my son. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't going to school. He was not enrolled in nothing that was going to better his life. He wasn't even working. So that's why I continued when I did reach out to him. But I had to take my hands off.
Do you believe, let me not ask that question. I was going to say, do you believe you were the favorite? But
I will forever say no to that.
Yeah, okay. What advice do you have for mom and I on our new journey and developing a strong...
Mom's facial structure.
I know.
She don't know how to control. She don't know how to control.
What advice do you don't think that you can have advice from your son?
Yeah. I'm just listening.
Advice for you and Mom on your new journey on this podcast that we're doing?
In our relationship. As I'm a mom now, you've already said that it's best that I learn sometimes to like soak in what she's trying to say.
And I've always told you that, so that's nothing new. So
I know, so I'm just pointing
whenever you
to
apply that, you'll apply that. But for now, I love what you guys are doing. I love you guys are a part of something like this where you guys are able to be vocal about how you guys feel about things, and certain questions come up, and it gives you time to digest those questions and come up with a response. And because you're like kind of in front of the cameras and in front of like a community, you have to be proper about it. You can't be screaming and yelling. So now that I think that helps, because you fly off the handle a lot. So I feel like this will be able, mom will be able to, instead of shutting you down when you start screaming and yelling and all that, she'll be able to bring it in, and you'll be able to find a way to properly say that to mom, and so she can reciprocate it. So I think that, and I'm excited for this. It'll be cool.
My last question for you. What would you tell single mothers about raising their son without their father in the home that you think would be helpful?
What would I tell single mothers without a father in the home in order for them to be successful? Is that what you're saying?
I know one time mom said, growing up, maybe it would have been best sometimes that she took you out on more kind of like mother and son outings. I don't know.
Mom had her own things that she was dealing with. I mean, even though she had kids and but she had her own things that she was dealing with, having 2 kids and working as much as she had to work. But I don't know.
Do you think those things would be beneficial to do for single moms?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, sure. I think I turned out fine. I mean, I'm not the best kid in the world, but I think I turned out pretty good. So I'm not saying do exactly what my mom did. I'm just saying, yeah, maybe there could be more things that you can do.
You're trying to be so nice and cautious about mothers' feelings.
That's not I don't know. I've never thought about that. So that's not
I gave you these questions 2 months ago. No, I'm just playing. I'm just teasing.
You gave me notice. You did give me notice, but
I can't speak
dig a little deeper, I guess. Ask questions. Ask fact-finding questions. Whatever. Take from that what you will, but just pull them to the side, ask them how they doing, and talk to them. I don't know.
Checking in.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty good answer.
Do you think you would have wanted to hear, we're going to close soon, but do you think you would have wanted to hear more about like sex talk and stuff from your mom? Or should that come from a male figure?
I don't know. When we had this conversation.
You said it weirdly.
When we did have the conversation.
Choking chickens is not
well, I mean, that was like
when we did have the conversations, even though it was kind of like trying to be funny and open it up. I think
that was mom's way.
That was mom's way of doing it, and I thought it was. I don't know if she knew a better way to do it. That was her way of doing it. So I mean, it worked, I guess. So I mean, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 18. So we had that conversation well before I was 18. So yeah.
And then mom did keep you in the second row of church, so that kept you grounded in some sense, and then also making sure you had male figures like Uncle Charles and Uncle Derek was helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your presence on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
Peace.
Yeah, bye, son. Thanks for coming.
Mother-Daughter Duo Podcast.